This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Rachel Fife.
Now, welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Now, are you looking for a certified Reiki master or organic esthetician or even an intuitive coach? Well, that person and resource is closer than you think. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing your good neighbor, Kerry Walker-Collins, with Mystic Reiki and Wellness. Kerry, how is it going?
Hi, it's great. Thank you for having me.
Well, we are really excited to learn about your practice. Tell us about your business.
Well, let's see. I started with being an esthetician in 2007. So I've been around in Orange County, well, my whole life in Orange County, but I've been doing this for about 20 years. Started off as a medical esthetician, and it was just really apparent to me that there was a lot more going on in my sessions than just the skincare. So Reiki found me in a really unique way. I was actually working on someone at the physician's office that I was working on at back then. And somebody thought I was doing Reiki on them before I was. And it was the first time I'd ever heard that. So it just happened that a few weeks later, one of my mentors was asking me if I was going to take Reiki classes or was interested in taking Reiki classes with her. And I did. And here we are 20 years later. It ended up taking over the medical practice. So we had a women's wellness center in South Laguna at the hospital there. And I was doing still a lot of skincare, but Reiki was really what people were coming for all the various things that Reiki can help with. So I still specialized in organic skincare, but heavily into the energy healing and then the intuitive coaching piece.
Wonderful.
Mostly since 2020.
Wonderful. Well, how did you get into this type of business? I mean, you hit upon it a little bit, but anything you want to expand about?
I think, well, it was mostly the hands-on, the healing portion of it. So once I was an esthetician and my hands were on people, I could just tell that there was a lot more going on with the energy. So I think that was the most, it really answered questions about myself in the beginning. And some apparent abilities that I had been born with. And then Reiki gave me the way to really figure out what I was doing with that. It didn't mean to be the business. I really thought I was just entering into skincare. It was sort of a liaison. Thought he might even go back to school. And I'd always been interested in becoming a dermatologist. And I just got so busy with it and working around in the medical world. I was working on people at that time that my surgeon, for anxiety and stress and just took over. So I think my portion of the business, Mystic Reiki and Wellness, was born a few years later after having my son and going out on my own with it.
Wonderful. Well, what do you think are some maybe myths or misconceptions in your industry?
Well, one of the things I think that I battle with probably the most or have come up against the most over the years is the misconception of it being a new age practice. I really feel like it kind of gets lumped into that zone, and it's not necessary. It doesn't really belong there, in my opinion. It is non-denominational, so it is spiritual in nature, but there's no dogma attached to it at all. So it really doesn't kind of go into any specific group, any type of religious avenue or specific spiritual avenue, if you will. I feel like that's probably the biggest misconception.
Okay. Well, now we know marketing is really at the heart of every business. So how are you finding your patients and clients?
Really, it's been word of mouth. And luckily, I've come up on Google. So I think just by happenstance, I've come up as number one so far for a few years, standing for Reiki in Laguna Beach when people are looking for me for that. But mostly it's word of mouth. I think that's the best thing, and the testimonials that have come in.
Wonderful. Now, have you ever thought about doing your own podcast?
I haven't. I really haven't. I know that I have a lot of colleagues that do, and I've done a lot of interviews on podcasts, but I have never thought about doing it on my own. No.
Okay. Well, now outside of work, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, I am a homeschool parent also. So these days, that is a lot of my time away from work. That happened also in 2020. I was noticing that your podcast started in 2020.
Yeah.
So lots of changes for everybody at that time. And so I do that on my off days. He's now in 8th grade. I have one son. And other than that, just walk the dogs. I have 2 large German Shepherds that I adore, and being out in nature.
I love it. Well, Kerry, please tell our listeners one thing they should remember about Mystic Reiki and wellness.
I think the biggest thing to remember about Mystic Reiki and wellness is probably the aspect of just healing and a healing place to go. Most of my clients that come in wish that they could just...
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnporangecounty.com. That's gnporangecounty.com or call 714.
Oh, you're not going to be like, cat.